Hey guys, welcome to Game Dev Weekly, the weekly show where I do game development. This week I've got a really exciting one. I've completely changed things up. I'm now going to work on a different game. The last game I wasn't really enjoying it, and this one, after this week, has just been really fun to work on. So be sure to check this out in this video. Also, I'm doing the giveaway at the end of the video, so stick around for that as well. So the premise of this game is a mining simulator arcadey game set in a stylistic medieval world, I guess. You basically do some mining, get resources, turn those resources into other things and sell them on, and eventually you'll be able to buy machinery and automate a lot of the manual processes that you have to start out with. So here's me trying to figure out how the hell I can make some diggable terrain. So I'm going to be working on a system that allows you to dig inside the terrain and then kind of dig down and be able to find materials. So I've got this first prototype here. I'm not really happy with how it's going so far. But you can see on the bottom right of the screen there's this thing called a render target, which is basically an image which shows white when the landscape has been dug, and it's black when it hasn't been dug. So just as a first test, I'm going to just try and dig here. What's happening is basically it's meant to dig exactly in the middle of the screen. You can see that's where the origin point is, and then over here is where the impact is meant to be, but for some reason it's kind of digging it over here. Not only that, but I'm also having a problem where I can't actually, I'm not changing the height of the collision, so the character's kind of walking on it as if it was actually already dug. So that's one of the problems I'm getting at. I think what I'm going to do is instead I'm just going to start again, try a different system, see if I can get it working. Alright, here's my second attempt, using the same system where when you click it creates a hole underneath you, and in this system I still didn't get things right. If I just click down here, you can see I've kind of made a hole which is really big, which is fine, we can change that later on, but still the collision isn't there. You see when I kind of exit, I kind of don't actually step up on it. Also there's some weird screen tearing going on here, which I'm not really sure as to what that is either. But you know, you can kind of flatten things out there, but still the collision isn't there. It's not really what I'm after. I think I'm going to try another version, but for now I'm going to work on some of the game's actual mechanics. Alright, so I've made a basic item system where you can pick up items like so and drop them like that. When you mouse over them, the little crosshair changes color just to show that you can actually pick it up. So next what I want to actually try and do is, here's a little piece of gold ore, and here's my bucket. And when I put the item in my bucket, if I can actually pick it up, okay. If I put the item in the bucket, it should stay in the bucket, and then I can pick up the bucket with as many items as I want inside of it. So I'm going to just try and pick this item up. So it's right here in my hand on the right side of my screen. And try and place, no. Yep, there we go. And oh god. Stay. Careful.
2,000 years later.
Just done a little bit more code. One thing I did was make the bucket a little bit bigger, just to make it easier to throw things into. And now when you place the ore into the bucket, it then locks after a few seconds, and then you can pick it up again, and the ore is still in the bottom of there. So I've added in a couple new items. I've added in a few of these basic gems, as well as playing around with some materials and also the lighting as well. So what I've done now is if you actually take one of these gems and put it onto the desk here, anything that comes on this desk is going to be sold into the store. So it tells me an estimate price. Right now I'll change the numbers later on so it actually makes sense, and maybe even have some kind of stock market that goes up and down. But for right now, I just left it at that price. Depending on the size, the price will actually change as well. So if I just click this sale button, it sells the item, disappears from here, and then on the bottom right of my screen you can see the money has actually changed. So I just spent the evening last night working on this new shop system. So in the front we've still got our general store to actually sell our ores, and then in the back here, this is where you can buy all your items. So as the game develops further, I'll probably expand this out, maybe even add in another section somewhere. But for now, let's buy a shovel. So every time I click on one of these, it'll spawn the shovel actor. If I try and leave the store, it'll just get rid of it. The same with if I try and pick something up and then try and kick it out the store, it'll still delete it. So to buy the items, just pick them up. So let's say I want to have 2 buckets. Put them over here. Then I press this little button here and it purchases them. So now I can remove them from the store and they won't disappear. Just been working a bit more on the physics of the items. So when you chuck one of these buckets or pans over, I noticed they kept rolling over. So I kind of edited where their center of gravity is, and it's a lot lower. So when you actually drop it, it kind of rolls onto it at its bottom. So next thing I wanted to do was actually being able to put dirt into the bucket. This is important for the initial stage of mining when you're moving dirt from one place to another. Since I haven't finished the terrain system, I've just added a hotkey to add dirt onto the shovel. So I just put some on my shovel there, and if I click on this bucket, then I can put some in. Each bucket can go up to 3 levels, and then you can take this bucket, put it into the pan, and then this is where you would grab the brush, and then you would add some water in here and then brush it away, and some gems will appear. So I also developed an algorithm which basically determines the quality and size of the gems that you're getting depending on the dirt that you actually put in. So if you put in more dirt, there's a higher chance, and also the dirt that is found deeper down may actually give you some better gems. Okay, so we've now got a bit of water. So there's multiple ways you can actually do this. You can fill the bucket up first, then chuck it in, or you can just chuck the dirt in straight from the shovel. I think I'll do the bucket version though. So first I'm just going to get some water, so I'm just going to chuck it in here. Obviously the water, like I said, has got no physics, but that's fine. It kind of gives it a bit of character, and maybe later on I actually put some in. And you can also use the bucket to get water and then pour it in here. So I'm going to fill up my bucket first. There we go. So that's a filled up bucket now. Pour that in there. Then I need to take the brush, and then I give it a rub-a-dub-dub, and then the gems appear. So now I can just take these gems. See, they're actually a bit bigger of a size than these default ones here. These are just like the smallest size you can get. This is all depending on the algorithm that I made, so I'm not sure what the size of this is, but it's a pretty decent sized one. So I can just chuck that on the table and then sell it and get my £4. Okay, so I've been a little bit busy. I've taken some terrain materials from an asset store and just placed them in. I'm not sure about them just yet. Also, we need a bit more grass and foliage. Been playing around with a few more models as well. So there's some trees now, some piping. These things are for next week's episode, so look forward to that. Same with this. And I've added in some basic animations as well. So if you just get the shovel. So now when you dig, obviously we don't have the terrain in yet, but to show you for an example, when you dig, it actually does like a little digging animation, and then there's also an animation for chucking some dirt out. Same thing with the bucket. Grab some water, I can chuck it out like that. If I actually show you the brush mechanic, put that in there, and then grab our brush. There we go. I've also finished this cart. Well, not finished it. It's pretty basic, but maybe later on I'll actually look back at it. But essentially it's a little bit buggy, so things kind of stick upwards, and it works a little bit like the bucket, I guess. What you can do is buy multiple buckets, put them in the cart, and then move the cart around. So just to get on it, you just press E, and then you can kind of move around. Yeah, it needs a bit more work, but for now it kind of does its job, moving things from one place to another. So that's going to do it for this week. I've really been enjoying working on this game. It's actually really fun to work on. So definitely expect more from it next week. This is going to be my main project from now on. So anyway, we've got that giveaway to do. So leave a comment down below. Also like and subscribe. And then in a couple of days, I'll pick one of those comments and you can get yourself a copy of the Scuttle. If you do want to support us, then check out the Scuttle on Steam. It's about $4. And also follow me on Twitter, join our Discord. The links are down below in the description. And I will see you guys next week.